Good evening there, everybody. What is happening? Hopefully, y'all are having a wonderful day today. So, when it comes down to it, I thought, of course, that I would talk about this video that I thought would be very particularly interesting. And this is going to be a video, of course, talking about that of the Devin Haney versus Regis Prograis and the great performance that Devin Haney ended up having over that of Regis Prograis, you know. And, of course, a certain amount of people are talking about it and they're talking about the potential future and the next big up and coming fights for that of Devin Haney. Of course, there's talks about Teofimo Lopez. There's talks about Subriel Matias. There's talks about that of Ryan Garcia. Who knows? Maybe even potentially Josh Taylor. I don't know, but I don't really know where Josh Taylor's going to be in terms of the title picture, especially since he did not look quite his best in my view in the Teofimo Lopez fight, and he pretty much got dominated in the second half of that fight. But anyways, I just thought that it was a very great performance by that of Devin Haney. And the big question is about Mr. Devin Haney now is that where is he on my personal top 10 pound for pound list, or where does he deserve to be? A lot of people, of course, especially from the LDBC and new media channels, they already had Devin Haney within the top 3 to top 5 pound for pound. I never really had him there, once again, because my top 5 pound for pound, you have to have a specific, certain requirements. Not only do you have to have an A+ level skill set, in my view, usually, but on top of that, you have to have a debatable A grade level resume. Well, Devin Haney, I'm not quite sure if he has an A+ level skill set, but if he doesn't have an A+ level skill set, it's pretty damn close. And after taking a look at that Regis Prograis fight, I do have to give it to Devin Haney that he certainly surprised me a little bit. I'm not going to say that I'm shocked that it was, a very dominant performance. I expected Devin Haney to at least win 8 rounds to 4, maybe 9 rounds to 3. But the fact that he pretty much pitched a shutout, and I think all the judges scored every single round for that of Devin Haney, that was a little bit surprising, especially, with his power being a little bit more impactful in Regis Prograis. I mean, really just having no answers. I'm not surprised that Regis Prograis lost because I predicted that Devin Haney would be the sharper and the better boxer of the two. I was correct on that. I was just never impressed with Regis Prograis, either offensive and defensive ability, but especially his defensive ability. He just does not have the best movement that I've ever seen, and he certainly doesn't have the best defense that I've ever seen. A lot of the times his hands are down just way too often, and he relies way too much on his hand speed and way too much on his power and his athleticism. But Devin Haney was not allowing him to get on the inside whatsoever. He was using his angles, he was using his footwork, he was using his superior speed to get that Regis Prograis. And there was just nothing that Regis Prograis had. On top of that, Devin Haney, he had a 4-inch reach advantage over that Regis Prograis. And that's not me trying to give an excuse to Devin Haney, but at the end of the day, if you're going to try to defeat a fighter like that at Devin Haney, you need to sometimes try to bully him and get on the inside, or you're going to have to try and exchange with him here and there. Regis Prograis just had no answers. And on top of that, once Regis Prograis, once he finally figured out that Devin Haney could actually punch in the fight, it pretty much was over. But it is what it is. Anyways, this is going to be the boxing ego kind of review or his breakdown as well. I thought that it would be interesting to kind of watch it because Ego, once again, he brings a little bit of logic. He also brings a little bit of biasness to the table, and I like to review him here and there because he kind of brings the best of both worlds, and it gives me an opportunity to kind of comment on the best of both worlds. But anyways, let's get in here. Let's see what he has to say.
Devin Haney versus Regis Prograis. And the new Devin Haney beats Regis Prograis. The realest breakdown that you will find on YouTube, presented by yours truly, Ego, aka.
And of course, once again, before the video truly begins, another question, of course, about this is, that potential Gervonta Tank Davis fight or the Shakur Stevenson fight. Because, of course, a lot of people before this, I think that they thought that the best version of Shakur Stevenson and the best version of Gervonta Tank Davis, that they would get the better of Devin Haney. And I think that the best version of those fighters still might potentially be a little bit more talented than Devin Haney. But Devin is going to be bigger than those guys. He's going to be lengthier than those guys. He has superior speed. There's no doubt about it. And he's, getting sharper as time goes along. So I'm just not quite sure if if Shakur Stevenson nor Gervonta Tank Davis, I'm not sure if that's really going to be the first fight that, they want. But we'll see.
Boxing Ego. Let's talk about it. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Devin Haney did it. Devin Haney did everything that he said he was going to do leading up to the fight. Unfortunately for Regis Prograis, he didn't. All the talk, all the trash talk, it all culminated on one fateful night, which was last night, my backyard, Bay Area.
That's always got to be a little bit embarrassing because Regis Prograis was talking so much shit about Devin Haney, and maybe it was just because, maybe he thought he was going to lose. But I think that Regis Prograis was relatively confident heading into this fight. I think he thought that Haney was going to be hittable, and that he thought that Haney was not going to punch that hard. In fact, I think he even said after the words in the post fight interview in the ring, right after he lost the decision, that he thought that Devin Haney, that he was going to be a pillow puncher. Well, he turned out wrong, and it appears that Devin Haney kind of going more to his natural weight. And just the way that I take a look at Devin Haney, Haney could easily be a welterweight when I just take a look at his size. There's certain fighters out there like that started off at 135, and they could easily be welterweight fighters. Terrence Bud Crawford, Oscar De La Hoya, those were a couple of fighters. Devin Haney looks like one of those fighters. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's more of a natural 140 pounder. But Devin Haney already states, I believe, that he kind of rehydrates at around 160 or walks around, somewhere around there or a little bit higher than that. I would have to see what he rehydrates at. But he was very decently big for a 140 pounder even.
And it was at the Chase Center in San Francisco. I'm going to explore different topics, as you guys know, or you should if you follow the channel. If not, subscribe. If you're new, I was at the fight, covered the fight, went to the post-fight press conferences, went to the fight week festivities, and
show your daughter how much you love her with this beautiful gift. It says,
and I enjoyed myself. I'm going to give you guys the good and the bad and the ugly. I'm going to first break down the fight. So Devin Haney, he looks special. His dad said he is special. He said a lot of the other fighters are good, but my son is special. And
I agree that Devin Haney is special. The question, of course, is going to be is how special truly is he? We're not really going to know until he steps in the ring with possibly Teofimo Lopez or Gervonta Tank Davis or maybe Shakur Stevenson. Those are going to be the real fights that are going to dictate truly how special Devin Haney actually is. Of course, the first fight, was against Vasily Lomachenko to see how truly special that he was. A lot of people thought that he could have potentially lost that fight. I thought that was a fight that could have went either way, so I don't really mind Devin Haney getting that decision. But Lomachenko also is a 35-year-old guy that probably is a natural 130 pounder. I don't think that he's ever been a natural 135 pounder. But, excuse me, I would love to see Devin Haney in the fights against Stevenson. I don't think that fight's going to happen yet, but we'll see what happens, especially after that stinker of a performance that Shakur Stevenson put on as of recent. And then of course you have the Gervonta Tank Davis fight, which could happen, but I never know truly how serious Gervonta Tank Davis is in taking the bigger names, but we'll see. And you might have some other names out there potentially as well. Teofimo Lopez, of course, is a mega fight, but I still don't really know where Teofimo Lopez is in terms of mental state, but we'll see.
And Devin Haney looked extremely sharp. For the good, that's good for Devin Haney. He keeps on trucking, keeps on moving forward. What did I like about Devin Haney's performance? Now, the great Ego Stradamus strikes again. I told you Devin Haney would win after 12 rounds via decision, unanimous decision. That's exactly what happened.
Yes, that's exactly what I predicted as well, as would a certain amount of the other boxing pundits and experts predicted as well. Ego always makes me laugh with that, and don't get me wrong, I have no problem with a man having confidence within himself, but Ego always makes me laugh because he's very boastful, and I don't always think that that's a bad thing. Sometimes I think that if it's put in a witty form, or if you can do it in a clever way or kind of a funny way, or if you certainly can back up the talk, I don't mind it. But then some of these other fights, and don't get me wrong, I certainly have not always gotten my predictions correct either, although I get the majority of mine correct. But then something ends up happening where he gets it wrong, like the Wilder versus Fury fight or the Crawford versus Errol Spence fight, and he gets on he gets on this live stream about how the Terrence Bud Crawford fans are virgins and, and all this other shit. It's like, it's just hilarious.
in the fight, Devin Haney looked extremely focused. So I love that. I love when you see professional athletes and they want nothing more than to just win and focus, eyes on the prize. That's what I kind of got from Devin Haney last night. There was no games. There was no, he almost had like a bit of stoicism to him. Like he walked out, did his ring walk. I don't even know if he was like smiling too much because it's different being in the venue. I have to go back and watch the re-air, but in the venue, I'm filming and like trying to show you guys how it looks. The crowd was absolutely lit. Devin Haney, he just looked very focused throughout the whole fight, and he was switched on, and he wasn't going to let anything get in his way and stop his dreams of becoming the new WBC champion, and he did just that. So stylistically, what did I like about how Devin Haney fight? Since this is the realest breakdown on YouTube, Devin Haney,
Just to kind
the
of ask
biggest
that,
attributes that
just to kind of ask that really quickly, what are the attributes, or what do I personally think are the best things about Devin Haney? Well, first of all, I think that his movement is very good. Now, do I think that it's the best that I've ever seen? And sometimes can he get himself in trouble because his feet at times can be a little bit too clunky in certain situations, or sometimes he's still a little bit too open. Yeah, at times it can happen, but he's extraordinarily fast. He's also getting better with each and every fight that I see him in. He's using the angles, he's using the movements. He seems like a relatively good defensive fighter. I won't say great defensive fighter as of yet, because I've seen performances like against Jojo Diaz and Vasily Lomachenko where I just thought that he got hit a little bit too much in those fights. But it's going to be very interesting to see who could potentially beat him. Once again, the fighters that could potentially beat that of Devin Haney, maybe that of Teofimo Lopez, maybe Shakur Stevenson, and maybe Gervonta Tank Davis. And after this performance, I'm not really 100% sure if I would favor any three of those fighters over that of Devin Haney. I'm not really sure if the fight were to happen tomorrow or if the fight were to happen next. I don't really know who I would favor in those fights.
I noticed that gave Regis Prograis all of the problems in the world, if I had to break it down, would be the footwork of Devin Haney, the speed, quickness, and athleticism. We'll put that into a separate category.
Hey, what's up? Instead of rushing to work for someone else.
And just the overall ring IQ. And Devin Haney wasn't sitting around like doing a bunch of thinking. Like, not saying he wasn't thinking in the ring, but he kind of knew his way around.
He wasn't overthinking it. I know what boxing ego means by that. And that's pretty much going to be the best form of you, when you can kind of get in that relaxed state where, you're cognizant and you know where you are, but at the same time, you're not overthinking anything, and it kind of just flows naturally. The greatest of athletes say that as well. Tom Brady, and other all-time great athletes, they just say that you have to let it flow. And sometimes, certain times, you're going to be overthinking. You're going to be, having a little bit of anxiety. But that is the difference sometimes between all-time great fighters and a very great fighter, to see how intelligent they are, who can perform their game plan better, and overall who's just the all-around more intelligent and skilled fighter. That's why there's been a lot of close fights, and sometimes certain fighters, they're meant to pull it out, others aren't.
On the ring and knew exactly what he wanted to do. His 1-2 was beautiful. Lots of 1-2s. And
I agree, and that's the main reason why I predicted Devin Haney over that of Regis Prograis. Regis has never been a great defensive fighter. To be fair to him, he did keep his hands up a lot more throughout this fight. But he's not a great defensive fighter. Never has been. Never has had great head movement. Never has had great defensive work. And on top of that, his feet were just nowhere near as fast as Devin Haney's. I mean, it was literally probably about a 30% difference. I mean, it wasn't even close.
it's sad because the fight was so non-competitive and one-sided. I can't even really tell you strategically much that Regis Prograis did. So some people, they got mad that I picked Devin Haney to win this fight. And then the great Ego Stradamus shows you I am boxing. I know what I'm talking about. People kept saying, oh, you're a Haney lover and all this weird stuff in the comment section because I picked Devin Haney.
Who the fuck was saying that? Like one or two people? I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't really read Boxing Eagles comment section. I only review a couple videos here and there. because once again, I think sometimes he has some stuff that I think is, I think he has some good points here and there. And then there's some other bullshit that he likes to promote that, I kind of like to talk about. That way narratives don't get out of hand. But, who the fuck is really saying that? That you're a Devin Haney lover, is it, how many people are really saying that? One or two people? Like, come on.
But what I said actually.
I mean, especially on your channel. I mean, I just highly doubt it, but maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe there's more people that were Regis Prograis fans or Devin Haney haters than what I thought. I don't know. Listen, if you had Regis Prograis winning this fight, I can't necessarily blame you, but I predicted Devin Haney to win this fight because of the great 1-2 that he had. I predicted him to be the sharper and the faster fighter, and I was just never impressed with Regis Prograis' defensive abilities. Now, Devin Haney is not necessarily a Floyd Mayweather Jr. or a Pernell Sweepy Whitaker or anything when it comes to his defensive prowess, but at the end of the day, he's much better than that of Regis Prograis. Regis has never been a great defensive fighter, either on the inside or the outside. Now, he has a lot of slips, and, he tries to get on that of the inside, but as we've seen yesterday with a faster fighter and a fighter that once he's seen that he had a certain level of power that he could not bully, he just had no answers. I mean, he had a very, very one-dimensional game plan A and nothing after that.
It happened. So at the end of the day, you got to choose.
And, one of the people in my comment section, I think, said that they thought Regis Prograis was washed. I don't think necessarily that Regis Prograis was washed. I just think that he's probably not as good as what some people probably thought that he was. I think maybe at his best that you can debate that he's an A- level fighter. I would probably give him the grade of A-, but he's certainly not any higher than that. And that's really even a debate after this fight. I mean, you got your ass kicked that bad?
Who do you believe in? I don't say stuff for my health. I don't just get on the mic and say a bunch of goofy stuff that I don't believe. I told you Devin Haney would win this fight. I think a bad game plan from Regis Prograis from before the fight even started. What do I mean?
What the fuck even really was the game plan from Regis Prograis, to be honest with you? I mean, it's like you had to have known that Devin Haney was going to move around. Was your plan basically just that Devin Haney, that you were going to be able to outmaneuver him, and then once he, was trying to throw punches, that you were going to be able to outspeed and outcounter Devin Haney? Because to be honest, I mean, maybe I just didn't watch certain rounds close enough, but that's what I seen. It's like, what the fuck were you doing out there? It looked like Regis Prograis, that's what his game plan was. And it's like, dude, you're not going to do that with a guy that has very quick feet and a guy that clearly is going to be fighting on the outside. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? You're going to have to get on the inside. You're going to have to try to bully this guy. It's okay to still be in the mid-range at times and try to get certain counters off. But he just had no answers. And once he's seen the speed, and also he was a little bit surprised by the power, once that third round happened, that fight was over.
I mean is Regis Prograis and his team, they kept talking about power. And
on top of that, Regis Prograis does not have a great reach. I think he only has like a 67-inch arm reach. Devin Haney, I think he's about 5'8", however tall he is. Maybe 5'9", 5'10", I really don't know. But he has a 71-inch arm reach, which is pretty good for his size. Pretty good for his size, especially for those weight divisions. You could tell that 4-inch reach advantage, that it was kicking Regis Prograis' ass. Because every time that he would try to land the lead hand, he was always so afraid of that right hand and the 1-2 coming straight down the pipe. Because he couldn't get in there effectively.
I knew that.
And usually Regis Prograis, once again, he'll slip certain punches and then he'll try to get on the inside. But he had no answers after that. Like, he did not have great defensive ability to try to get on the inside. He wasn't stepping to Devin Haney's, right side, or left side a whole lot. I mean, it was not a good performance.
Would be a potential downfall. Power, power, power. Power this, power that. Power is cool, but that can't be the only thing at an elite level that you're worried about. Unless maybe you're like Deontay Wilder and you're going to touch somebody, and when you touch them, it's the touch of death. But
well, the reason why Deontay Wilder always usually gets away with that a lot of the times as well is not just because he has that level of power, but also because of his size. Like a lot of people, like a lot of these LDBC and new media channels, including Boxing Ego, they love to complain about how Fury was that much bigger. And don't get it wrong. He certainly was bigger in terms of the weight. That certainly is a part of it. We can't just ignore that. That is a part of the reason why Fury was able to implement the win and, implement his game plan over that of Deontay Wilder. That's a part of it. But a big part of the reason why Deontay Wilder, even for the sloppy fighter that he is and kind of uncoordinated at times is what he is because he's 6'7" with about an 83-inch arm reach. That's the reason why he gets away with so much shit, because it's already hard to get in on him in the first place. But when that guy basically has a rocket, for a right hand, it's like basically it's already very hard to get in on you, because you have an 83 something inch reach, and then on top of that, you're 6'7", and then on top of that, you punch like a horse kicks. So how the fuck am I supposed to get on the inside of you if I'm like a 6'2" to 6'4" heavyweight with like a 78-inch reach? It's hard.
Outside of Wilder, I don't really want to hear about guys and their whole game plan is seemingly power. In fact, the strength and conditioning coach who did a great job promoting on behalf of Team Prograis, I asked him after one of the events, the weigh-in or whatever event, I seen Evans Tobler, and I asked him, I said, with Devin Haney moving up in weight at 140 pounds, do you think that Devin Haney will be stronger? Because as I've told you on my channel, Devin Haney looked pretty depleted in some of the later fights at 135 pounds. It looked like it was definitely a struggle for him to...
I thought that Devin Haney could have potentially knocked out Regis Prograis as well. There was a couple of times where Regis Prograis was very badly hurt. But I'll give a little bit of credit to Devin Haney. I don't think that he wanted to go for the knockout because I think that he wanted to stay disciplined. There was also rumors and there was also ramblings about sometimes when Devin Haney hears boos, he tries to go for the knockout or tries to, make it a little bit more exciting, and that causes him to get hurt. So Devin Haney probably felt that, I'm not really going to win either way here. And why the hell go for a knockout when I'm very dominant in this performance and this guy can still punch me and potentially hurt me? So I can't really go after Devin Haney too much for that. But in my view, had he really put on the gas, at least in an intelligent way, and not ran into a shot, he probably could have stopped him.
Make weight. It didn't look comfortable, right? As his body maturities got older, maybe in his offseason he's gaining some weight. And Regis's guy, his strength and conditioning guy, says, nah, Devin don't have power. He'll never have power. And I'm a strength and conditioning guy. You're not going to get power. So I've stated in my videos before the fight that this was oversight or miscalculation, an underestimation, if you will. Make sure you guys thumb up, subscribe, hit the...
Well, I'll say this. Usually when you talk about the level of power, usually a pillow puncher is always a pillow puncher. But I don't think that Devin Haney has ever necessarily been a pillow puncher, like a Paulie Malignaggi or anything like that. I just think that he doesn't necessarily have A-plus level power. I'm not even quite sure if he has A-level power. Maybe his power is A-minus. He certainly was able to hurt Regis Prograis a multitude of times. But it's probably about, a B-plus, to A-minus, something like that.
Bell notification icon so you don't miss a thing. This was definitely Team Prograis underestimating Devin Haney because they were just acting like he had no power and who you knock out, who the F you knock out and all this stuff. And they were hung up on their power and Devin Haney.
But once again, a lot of the time certain fighters, when they're in the greatest performances of their careers or they're in potentially the biggest fight of their career, and, this probably was not the biggest fight of Devin Haney's career. One could debate it was either the Lomachenko or George Kambosos fight, in terms of importance, for his career, but he was going up a weight class and it was going to be a title shot, for his first fight there, at least I believe his first fight there, so this could debatably be the most important fight of his career, just when you talk about the trajectory and the continuing of that of Devin Haney's career. And a lot of the times, even certain fighters that, don't necessarily have that level of power, all of a sudden, they may seem to put it on a little bit more in a certain fight where they know that they have to win, like Fury versus that of Deontay Wilder. Like, so many of these LDBC and new media channels are like, oh, Fury just has this power out of nowhere. It's like Fury has never been a pillow puncher. Tyson Fury is a dude that has always been able to punch. He doesn't necessarily have A-plus level power, but if you take a look at his record, he has 20-something knockouts and 30-something fights. Tyson Fury has never been a pillow puncher, never throughout his career. It just is what it is. Andre Ward against Sergey the Crusher Kovalev. He was able to hurt him and knock him out in the second fight. You know, when it came down to it, of course, I thought some of those punches maybe were a little bit too low. But at the end of the day, Andre Ward still ended up getting his win. He hurt Sergey Kovalev, and he deserved that victory. You know, and Andre Ward was not known as an extraordinary A-grade level puncher. But sometimes when you take a look at a fighter and they know that they have to win a fight, the power seems a little bit more, and it could just be extra training. But most of the time, it's because they know that they have to turn it up a little bit, and they're landing more consistent punches because they're sharper.
Not being able to do anything to hurt him. Ironically enough, Devin Haney dropped Regis Prograis. A flush right hand landed, and he dropped him. I believe it was in the second round. Regis Prograis got back up and he shook his head as to acknowledge. Me personally, I hate when fighters do that. I don't like when you get whooped in a round and then you're going back to your corner and your fighter that just whooped you is going back and then you dap gloves or Regis getting dropped and then shaking his head. I feel like that's all bad body language. And you got to be, boxing is a brutal and grueling sport. You got to be super competitive and have a poker face. So the fact that Regis, I know this seems small to some people, but I look at everything, all the minute details. The fact that Regis Prograis got back up and was shaking his head, he was shaking his head almost as if to confirm, like, oh, that was a good shot. Oh, he sat me down. So you did all this talking about Devin Haney lacks power and this and that, and you got dropped and you got hurt throughout the fight on more than one occasion.
He damn near got dropped 3 times. He damn near got dropped about 2 or 3 more extra times past that around 3. You know, like that's got to be embarrassing. You talk all this shit and your coaches talk all this shit about how Devin Haney doesn't have any power and blah, 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 all sort of bullshit. And there's no offense against Regis Prograis, but it's like, I'm not going to say they didn't try to win this fight, but it's like either A, you didn't try hard enough, or B, you're just that limited of a fighter because it's like, really? Like you lost every single fucking round?
So it was really masterclass stuff from Devin Haney all across the board. Footwork, ring IQ, the 1-2. I wish Devin Haney, I kept calling for it as I was watching the fight. I think Regis, he was leaning in, reaching. He looked very clunky, very sloppy, missing and punching into the ropes at times. I think Devin Haney should have shot the uppercut more if I had to have a critique. He did a couple of times and he was having success, but I was calling for it before he even started throwing it. And I think that punch, the way Regis was shorter and leaning in, that would have totally caught him off guard. So I would have liked to have seen Devin Haney use the uppie a little bit more. But, I mean, this is just like nitpick. He won every round. Regis Prograis also set a record for the lowest amount of punches. People clowned the Edwin De Los Santos performance, and then Regis Prograis just went out there
and deservedly so. No offense against Shakur Stevenson, and I'm not someone that, you know, calls someone boring or likes to criticize performances, even when I find it to be a safe performance. But that performance against Edwin De Los Santos, I kind of get it because he's dangerous, he's powerful, and you don't want to lose against a Dominican fighter like that because that could completely fuck up your whole entire career. I get it. But at the end of the day, that was a horrid performance by that of Shakur Stevenson. I mean, he literally had no other punches other than that of a lead hand jab. I mean, it was terrible.
and underperformed even that. And
I'm not saying that this fight was the most entertaining fight that I've ever seen. In terms of competitiveness, it was horrible. But in terms of sharpness, Devin Haney was A+, no doubt about it. His sharpness and, you know, his level of skill here looked great.
was the Edwin De Los Santos Shakur Stevenson performance. But the worst part is Edwin De Los Santos, he couldn't get to Shakur Stevenson. There were points where Devin Haney was kind of in pocket, and Devin Haney was right there, and he was throwing more.
I'm not going to say that Edwin De Los Santos couldn't get to Shakur Stevenson. I think that Shakur won the fight, and I think that he was more maneuverable. But people try to act like that fight was 12 rounds to 0. I don't know what the hell people really were watching. The judges, in my view, actually had that fight correct. 2 of those judges, I believe, had it about 8 rounds to 4. That's exactly what I had scored it. Because no way that Shakur Stevenson, especially in the early rounds of that fight, no way that he was winning every single round of that fight. Absolutely not.
Offense than Shakur, which creates more potential openings. Regis Prograis was trying to do that throwback, awkward, you know, I don't know, Joe Frazier type of like cagey stuff. And it was to no avail. None of it was really working on Devin Haney, and Devin Haney kind of
None of it was to any avail because for it to work, at least in Regis Progray's mind, he has to basically slip your punches and then he'll kind of try to get on the inside. But Devin Haney was just establishing distance way too well. He was establishing distance way too well. He was not biting, on a certain amount of the feints or potentially, some of the slips that Regis Prograis and the counters that he was going to try to get. He wasn't biting on it. And on top of that, that 4-inch reach and the speed and the foot movement, it was just way too much.
bullied the champion. So that was very impressive to see a guy move up in weight, and he's bullying a champion, a respected two-time champion in the division who had a lot to say. So very, very good stuff from Team Haney. Bill Haney did a good job. I was in the venue, so I didn't really hear on the telecast on the DAZN pay-per-view what Bill Haney was saying, but I did hear what he had to say after the fight. I got a video of Bill Haney unplugged. Make sure you guys click on that video. Devin Haney definitely raised his stock. Not that his stock was down, but he definitely raised it with this performance. The Chase Center was packed, and if you want me to make a separate video about it, put Golden State Warriors, write those words in the comment section. And if enough people type those 3 words, Golden State Warriors, because they play at the Chase Center, put Golden State Warriors in the comment section, and I'll tell you and make a separate video about the crowd. Because some people are saying Devin, they have a lot to say. The haters, they say Devin Haney, he can't sell. They say Devin Haney, he has no power. And if you want me to talk about...
I don't know really how many pay-per-view sales this pay-per-view got. I'm going to maybe assume that it did more than Lomachenko, but I could be wrong about that. Because I know that the Lomachenko versus Devin Haney fight, I know that it definitely wasn't box office numbers. I don't know if Devin Haney is necessarily a superstar when you talk about in terms of his boxing marketability. But he's a guy that you certainly can make some big fights with. But of course, they're going to try to probably make Gervonta Tank Davis the next big star if they possibly can. Maybe Shakur Stevenson. But we'll see. And with Gervonta Tank Davis, it's going to be interesting because he's not a young guy. He's about 29 to 30 years old, I believe, or 28. He's anywhere from there. So once again, it's going to be very interesting to see what ends up happening with that.
The atmosphere in a whole separate video, put Golden State Warriors in the comment section. Because on my channel, I like to clap back and respond to all the negativity, positivity, and everything in between. Because I'm the best in the business, and it's not even close. Other thing is, people keep complaining, saying, oh, Devin got no power, Devin's power. But everyone he's been fighting recently, Regis got dropped, and he was considered the bigger, stronger guy. Or not necessarily taller, bigger, but stronger guy. The guy, bigger weight class experience. He's been the career 140. His face was tattered. Loma's face was tattered. If you want a separate video about the power aspect.
Well, Loma's face has gotten tattered in a multitude of fights. I'm not going to sit here and say that Devin Haney has no power. But I'm not going to sit here and act like he's just an A-grade level puncher either. Haney is he's never going to be an A-grade level puncher. There's just certain fighters that are like that. Now, maybe if he were to sit down on his punches a little bit more or go for the knockout, maybe he would be. I don't know. But I'm not quite sure if he's an A-grade level puncher. If he is, I would give him the grade of A-. But I want to give him any higher than that.
Put Devin power.
And of course, he hit George Kambosos with everything. And I don't even think George Kambosos got dropped in that fight. In either fight.
Put Devin power in the comment section, and I'll be sure to make those 2 videos. All in all, it was a very great main event. Devin Haney did his thing. Masterclass performance. It's bad for Regis Prograis. So that's all I got to say is I don't have a critique about his performance. The performance was pretty easy for anybody who has listened to this video or looked at highlights. He just didn't perform.
The conditioning coach was talking a lot of shit.
All the smack talk, all the trash talk, he didn't live up to it. I'm not in the business of going out of my way to kick a man while he's down. Regis Prograis also gave credit to Devin Haney, and they hugged it out. It is what it is. He underperformed. The bad thing is he's had back-to-back very abysmal performances. The Zorilla performance, and then now the Devin Haney performance was even worse because he gets dropped and buckled and hurt, said Devin had no power.
Wasn't even the fact that he got hurt for me. It was the fact that he literally lost every single round, and he just literally had no game plan. Like, I've seen fighters get their ass kicked before, but at least I thought that, there were some moments or like some times where I thought they were trying to win the fight. I'm not gonna say that Regis Prograis wasn't trying, but I just think that he was so afraid after a while because Haney's speed and, the fact that he was hurting him a little bit and the reach. Like Errol Spence and Steven Fulton, they got the shit kicked out of him earlier this year. But at least I seen them, at least try to get in there a little bit. Regis Prograis, it's like he just had nothing.
Great build up, a lot of trash talk and animosity before. So Regis, he's 34, 35 years old. He got to do some soul searching because who wants to have in the sport of boxing 2 back-to-back performances where you did lose officially and then you arguably lost to the Zorilla. So that really set you back a bunch and you lost your belt. So congratulations to Devin Haney. Regis Prograis was game, but Devin Haney was just the better boxer, the better man that night. Let me know how I did in this video. The best breakdown in YouTube. That's me. And I'm up.
But anyways, that's pretty much about it for this video. I just thought that was very particularly interesting. We'll see where Mr. Devin Haney goes. I would really love to see the Gervonta Tank Davis fight because that could debatably be the biggest challenge for that of Devin Haney. Shakur, I think, is probably more skilled than that of Devin Haney at his best, but I think that he still has a little bit to go, especially at the 135-pound weight division. And, if we're talking about pillow punchers, I mean, it's no offense against Shakur Stevenson, but it's like, Jesus, like in his past couple of fights, I'm not going to 100% say that he's a pillow puncher, but it's starting to look like it. I need to see some a little bit more. I mean, yeah, we've seen the power in the Oscar Valdez fight and all that other stuff, but it's like, come on. Oscar Valdez is like, what, 5'4", something like that. A 5'4", 130-pound Mexican. Like, you were supposed to beat that guy. You were supposed to beat the shit out of him. So I would love to see Shakur Stevenson in some of those other fights. But the fight that I think is the most particularly interesting, at least in terms of a potential could Devin Haney be beat, certain type of style, would be that either of Teofimo Lopez, or that of Gervonta Tank Davis. In terms of Ryan Garcia, he is not ready for that fight, but we'll see about that. I would love to see Ryan Garcia versus Subriel Matias, to be honest with you. Or Rolly Romero. Actually, that's another fight that I would love to see, Rolly Romero. I forget that dude, that motherfucker, actually has a belt there, which is astonishing to me. But, it is what it is. But I would love to see the Gervonta Tank Davis fight just to see if Devin Haney would have answers, to get out of possible danger or trouble when Gervonta Tank Davis gets on the inside and lays that power on him. I would love to see it, but we'll see. But anyways, that's pretty much about it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll talk to y'all later.